Year 3, so today I'm going to go through a calculation method for the operation multiply. Now it's something we've been doing all year, so in this Pentecost term it will be an opportunity for us to consolidate that learning and maybe stretch and challenge us a little bit further. So the learning challenge, you can see, is can you multiply 2-digit numbers by 1-digit numbers using partitioning. So partitioning is the method that we use to work out in Year 3. When it says 2-digit numbers, hopefully you can think of some examples of 2-digit numbers. That's where there are literally 2 digits in the number. So numbers like 15, 23, 65, 99. And then the 1-digit number is obviously 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's get going. So the first example that I am going to show you is 23 times 4, and you can see here that I've already written the tens and the units, so I know and I can remember the place value of that 2-digit number. Now I'm going to keep these columns as my tens and units. It will be a lot easier for you if you're using your squares in your maths book. I obviously haven't got one. So I'm just going to try my best to do it on here. So I'm going to partition the number. I can see I've got 2 tens here, and I know 2 tens is 20. And I can see I've got 3 units, so I'm going to write that underneath. So you can see I've still got 23, but I've partitioned it to show my tens and my units. The next thing I need to do is to multiply. So I'm going to write times 4 because if you can see in the question here, this is what we're multiplying by. Okay, we're going to do that to both the tens and the units. So then we need to kind of work out the answers. Okay, now it probably would be easier to start with 3 times 4 because hopefully you know that off the top of your head. But I think that can sometimes get us a little bit confused with where we put the numbers. So I would always say start with the top number. So I'm going to put my equal sign. Now, some of you might be able to do 20 times 4, maybe using your fingers, or you might just know it. But you might not be able to, and that's okay. Now, I know I can see here that if I can make this number 10 times smaller, it's going to give me 2. Now if I write 2 times 4, now I know 2 times 4 and hopefully you do. 2, 4, 6, 8. I know that it's 8. Now if we know 2 times 4 is 8, we're going to see if we can make it 10 times bigger because I'm going to make the 2 10 times bigger. So let's see if we can make that answer 10 times bigger as well. So if we're making something 10 times bigger, we're going to multiply it by 10. I know that 8 times 10 is 80. Okay, so I'm then going to come on to my next part. Found the first answer. The second bit, 3 times 4. Now, 3 times 4, we've been practicing those timetables all year. So hopefully you know that. 3, 6, 9, 12. Now, it's really important in this bit. The answer's 12, but I need to really carefully think about where I'm going to put the 12. So I'm going to write in my place value here to help me. Now, in the number 12, let me just write it here. How many tens have we got? Well, hopefully you can see that we've got 1 10. So I'm going to put that 1 in the tens column, and then we've got 2 units. So I'm going to put that in the units column. Okay, so let me just rub these out to make it a little bit clearer. So let's recap what we've done so far then. So we've got the question, we've partitioned, we've multiplied, and the last step is add. So we're going to add those 2 answers together. Now, hopefully you can remember from your knowledge of the column method for addition, that we always start with the units. So I'm going to draw a line here, and my units, I've got 0 and 2. Now that's quite easy. 0 add 2 gives me 2. Then we're going to move on to our tens. Now we're not just doing 8 add 1, because we know that is 9. We're actually doing 80 add 10, because it's our tens, isn't it? So 80 add 10 is 90. So that's why I've got my 9 tens, 90. And that's it. We found the answer. 23 times 4 is 92. So we're going to try a little bit of a harder one this time. So again, we're going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to label my tens and my units. So first thing I'm going to do is partition. So I've got 6 tens, 60, and I've got 3 units again. So then we're going to multiply them both by 8 times 8. I'm going to start with the harder one. Now, the 8 times table, hopefully you should have been practicing this half term. So we're going to start with 6 times 8, and I know 6 times 8 is 48, but we're going to make it 10 times bigger. So I'm going to multiply it by 10, and I will get 480. Now you can see this is definitely a bigger number than last time. So we've now got a hundreds column. So I'm just going to write that in to make it a little bit clearer for me. So we're going to move on to the second part here. 3 times 8. Now again, we should have been practicing our 8 times table, but we do know our 3 times table. So hopefully you know that 3 times 8 is 24. Now again, I'm not just going to write the answer anywhere. We need to think about where 24 goes in the right column, so our place value is correct. So 24, I know there are 2 tens and there are 4 units. Now there is a space here and that's absolutely fine. We're then going to add them up. So again, we're going to start with the units. So 0 and 4 gives me 4. We're then going to go to our tens. 80 add 20 gives me 100. Now this is where it gets tricky, because I'm not just going to write 100, because we've still got some things to add here, okay? So what we do need to do is we're going to kind of use this line just as to carry it across that number. So I've got 100 as my answer, so I'm just going to put a little 1 here in the hundreds column, sorry. Now in the number 100, let me just write it here. I haven't got any units, have I? 0 units, so that's okay, don't need to put anything here. And I've got 0 tens. So I'm going to fill this space with the 0, and then I've got my 100, which I'm going to save there for later. Now, quite often we use 0 as a placeholder. If there isn't another digit to go there, we can put a 0. Now we know we've got 0 units, 0 tens, so we're just going to put the 0 in there to hold that place. So then I can move on to my hundreds. So you can see here we've got 400, so 400, and then we've got the 100 here. So 400 add 100 gives us 500. So we can see the answer is 504. So hopefully that was a good recap for you. Now obviously you can kind of make these as hard or as easy as you like. At school a lot of the time we have little number cards, so you can maybe make your own, so you can kind of just have a go at picking any numbers to make your calculation to have a practice, or you might want to pause the video and have a go at some of these that I've written. Once you're really confident with the skill itself, you might want to maybe create a poster explaining how to do it. You could have a go at making your own video like I've just done now, explaining the method. You could create a how-to guide for the new year 3s next year that they could use to teach them how to do it. But yeah, hopefully that was useful, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.